Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you guys doing? What is up, fam? What is going on in the J Crew? Welcome, guys. Haven't done a live stream in a little bit and working on a couple of edits. So we're trying to get that in the works for you guys. But other than that, how you guys doing? Listen, shout out to all the new subscribership. Um, and I want to give a special thanks to Wahima. She definitely was a big part of that. I went on her show last week, and as a result of that, we ended up pulling close to 100 subscribers. So thank you, Wah. I appreciate you. I had fun. Let's do it again. Shout out to Hoop Jargon for having me on the show. Shout out to Flight Sports TV for having me on the show yesterday. You guys are amazingly awesome. Thanks, and shout out to my lovely wife Jen, Vegan Knowledge JJ, and fam Kathy and Brooke and everybody. But thank you, new subscribers. I'm not going to talk you guys to death because this. Hopefully, you make it to the live stream because I'm not going to leave it up. Got a pretty good piece of advice the other day. I heard that it's like the live stream is for exactly that, being live, and if you miss it, well, you just miss it. You know what I mean? But hopefully, you don't. But you know, man, oh man, um, we are pushing for 1,000 subscribers, and right now we are at. Let's see where we're at here. We are at 431 and counting. The last time we did a live stream, we were at 302. So yeah, we're moving. No, actually no. 347. My bad. 347. And I think when I went on Waz show, I had 351. So yeah, we're pushing it. About to hit the 5, and then it's on to the 1K, baby. On to the 1K. We gotta grind. But I thank you, everybody who has subscribed. Let's get into Pedro and Chantel. Please share the video. Come on the live stream. The link, I will be more than happy to put the link in the chat if you guys want to discuss it. But let's go over what's going on with Pedro and Chantel, man. Who'da thunk it, right? Let me get over here. Let's see here. Let's see. What do we got? Okay, so Pedro and Chantel, obviously there's trouble in paradise. Unfortunately, the couple has decided to split, and it is not an amicable split. All right, it's not an amicable split. They are not feeling each other. More importantly, I think Pedro is not feeling Chantel. And the reason I put exposed on there is because I feel like Pedro has some shit to answer for. It just so seems that the happy couple turned not so happy, even though they started the season out. He's, got got his shoes off, which we know is probably kicking because he never wears socks. Okay, I think Chantel even called him out on one of the episodes. They were like in the Philippines. She's like, "Your feet stink, dude." But and Pedro never wears socks. If you guys pick up on that, he's always got those moccasins on. He never wears socks. So this dude's got some rank feet. But nevertheless, Pedro and Chantel are no more. And I really, truly believe that this is more on Pedro for the split than it is Chantel. Chantel looked like, if you're watching the season, and I'm not putting it past them to be doing this for ratings. People, and shout out to Kempire. He mentioned on his show the other day that people get filed for divorce all the time and never actually get divorced. Shout out to my lovely wife, Vegan Knowledge JJ. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you.
I had a little bit of trouble. I tried to get in before, I know, and I had like some technical difficulties on some of your last streams, but I'm glad you can hear me, and I guess I have a picture somewhere.
It is all good. We can hear you, love. We can hear you.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
this one was upsetting, right? Like, for
I
sure.
feel like my parents are getting divorced or something.
I heard you say that the other day. I was like, you're right. It does. It feels like we've known them, like, literally. Well, we have watched their relationship pretty much on TV.
Like
And
4 or 5 years, right?
yes. And I was saying, too, what you were about to say. It's more on Chantel. To me, I mean, more on Pedro. I agree because I don't think Chantel has changed. I think everything has been the same with her, and it's his opinion of her that has changed because this is the first season we've ever heard some of these things. I mean, he's always had some kind of, little issue with the way that with the family things, but they've seemed to be able to work through them, and he seems like part of her family, like the mom and the dad kind of started looking at him like a son.
Yeah.
And it's really weird, and it seemed to me, I said this on somebody else's live stream the other day on the comments too, that he once he started working, I'm not even sure that it was all about money. I don't know that he didn't find someone else, honestly.
Yeah. I agree. Pedro is definitely sus in this whole thing. And he's sus for a number of reasons. Just like I put on, the thumbnail, um, you know, he's gotten his green card and he is a happy camper. He got the job, right? And next thing you know, he's got the career, he's got his green card, and the next thing you know, he's ready to split up from Chantel. Now,
All of
we
a sudden, because she doesn't cook and clean,
right.
he's not
Has
liking
she
her. Like,
ever cooked and cleaned?
right. And his point, he was like, when she was working, I did everything for her because she was going to school, working, and supporting you. I understand you should have been doing that because you wanted to be nice, not because once you started working, she had to do everything. Like,
Right,
when did he become this, like, traditional guy that needs everything done for him and wants, like, her to take his shoes off and rub his feet and make him dinner as soon as he walks in the door because he's a real estate guy. Like, that's
right.
what was weird.
Let's take it back. Now, we first saw them on season 4 of 90 Day Fiance. That's when they came on everybody's radar. And they were each other's language tutors. Chantel was teaching Pedro English, and Pedro was teaching her Spanish. That's how they met.
And I'll be
And
honest, I've always been a fan of Pedro. I've always kind of been upset with Chantel with a lot of things and her family and how they treated him and saying he was coming for green card. Like, every time I've always been on like Pedro's side. So this is so weird to see this development.
right. So we saw them first on season 4, and then we fell in love with the couple. They're frolicking on the beach, and they're having a good old time in the Dominican Republic because Chantel decided that, okay, hey, I've had enough of the laptop romance. I want to see you in person. So she went to the Dominican Republic to see Pedro, and they secretly got engaged on that trip. So he proposed to her and they got engaged. So, but I'll tell you what, who wasn't happy about it was Lydia and Nicole. Okay. Do you remember this scene, Jen?
Very well. And she like five cuss words that didn't even match up.
She's like, did you call me a slut? And that was like the only time I think before now that we've ever heard Nicole say anything in English. She's like, yes. She's like, did you call me? And then Chantel walks off calling her a slut ass, whore ass, bitch ass, whore ass, slut
Yeah, that's what I mean.
ass.
Went off on her.
Damn.
That was
But
a toxic relationship there from the beginning with the family, but like I feel like it was strange because I remember then that her family found out about some website that his mom had.
Yeah, they accused Lydia of trafficking, basically, and trying to um, pimp her son out to harvest the American dollar. Was the phrase that Miss Karen kept using. She thought that Lydia and Pedro had a business where they were looking for American women to possibly bring over not only Pedro but anybody who wanted to come over. They were looking for Americans or what did Miss Karen say? Stupid Americans that would bring over people from the Dominican Republic. They were trying to pair people up.
Now, do you think that, I can't remember because now it's so long ago. Was it after, like, was it after that Chantel was like, "No, I don't want to send your family all these gifts and stuff," and the mother started
Yeah,
getting
this
on him?
comes later. That
But
comes
I'm
later.
thinking, was that when they stopped liking Chantel, or did they just not like her from the beginning? Because
No, this scene that you see here
yeah,
happened way early on as
like,
Pedro was preparing to come to the US.
right, that's right. So they just, maybe that, so that didn't add up unless it was part of their storyline that if she was looking for an American woman that had money, it seemed like her
But
family.
see, I don't think they liked Chantel. They just didn't like what Chantel represented. They didn't like her. They thought she was
Yeah,
fake. And I honestly think they were jealous of Chantel because she was bringing Pedro to the States and she was carrying it like that, and they just
yeah,
did not appreciate her.
yeah. It was a difficult. It was weird because I'm like, if they were right that she was setting him up with an American woman, then it wouldn't make sense that they didn't want him to move to America too. It was just kind of a crazy situation that was going on. But I think that was part of every family on 90 Day Fiance. At least part somebody in the family seems to always
Yeah,
they love each other
it's
to
always
a green
argued that it's
card.
staged. It's always argued that it's staged. You know what I mean?
I
Got
mean,
to bring in the drama.
really felt like, in my opinion, they might be just really good actors, but they definitely seemed like they were not going to at this point be divorced, and they were going to have a couple of kids by now.
Nevertheless, despite the fact that Lydia and Nicole did not want Pedro to leave, and they did not like Chantel, Chantel and Pedro got engaged, and she brought his ass right over here on the K1 visa. This is a scene from the airport where he finally gets here.
Oh, remember they told the parents that he was here on like a student or work visa, and they were really here on the 90-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that when River and him were like, nobody liked him, and they were like really not feeling Pedro, and him and River were at odds. Now they're like best friends.
Right. But yeah, this is when he first comes to the States. And Chantel, here's the thing. Chantel, I think, set Pedro up for failure right from jump, to your point. You know what I mean? I think she set him up right from jump for failure because she enter the family Chantel. She didn't tell her family anything about the romance. The family didn't even know Pedro when he got to the States. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, I'm in love with this guy. And like you said, she told him it was a student visa and told him it was a student visa and he was there visiting and, so they just kind of took him with a grain of salt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of took him with a grain of salt. Shout out to Winter, by the way. Winter is looking good. Look at this.
Wow, she is
She
really.
has really come down. She just got the gastric or the gastric sleeve. So this is probably one of the most. This is. I think I got this from Screen Rant. Um, Shout out to Screen Rant. This is the most recent picture of her, and she's catching up to Chantel there. It looks
Right.
like, right,
Yes.
because
And
she actually looks like Chantel there.
yeah, definitely. Now that her face is thinner, I can.
Has thinned out. She looks a lot more like Chantel. So yeah, congratulations to Winner on her weight loss journey. hopefully she stays healthy and um and works that out. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just agreed with you.
Yeah. So it's like, family Chantel, and to your point, she set him up for failure. This is the scene that you're talking about where she told came clean with the family and said, "Yeah, remember the student visa? Well, it's bullshit." Okay. He's actually here on a K1 visa and we are going to go ahead and get married in a few days.
Awkward. Well,
Yeah.
Pedro and her, but it's almost like she knows her family and she knew they weren't going to go for that. So she pretty much just bullied everybody into it. Like, well, we already are here. He's on the visa. We're going to do it.
But I tell you what, you know who that reminds me of? These people right here,
Yep.
Patrick and Thais, because she set him up for failure. And this is John's point, Patrick's brother. You cannot wait until after the fact to tell people that you've gotten married or you're getting married because it sets the other party up for failure. Like she's talking about her dad already doesn't like Patrick. Well, what do you think he's going to think after you tell him that you're married once it's already married? He wasn't invited to the wedding. He didn't get to see his daughter get married. And you saw the guy crying when she left. So apparently he adores his daughter. So what do you think that's going to do for Patrick's status at that point? And that's exactly, what happened with Chantel and Pedro. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
set him up for failure, and the family started looking at him some kind of way right from the jump street when they found this out.
Yes. And we know Karen was all over it, harvesting the American dollar. And
Yeah.
then remember
Stupid Americans. Do you think we're stupid Americans?
I remember her saying that. It was just like toxic from there. But then, it was like they kind of were like, okay, we have to kind of accept this because Chantel's gonna do what she wants to do. It looks like, and
That's it.
they got
And
married.
remember, River wasn't even going to come to the wedding.
Right?
He wasn't even going to come. And then he finally shows up. I think Thomas said he was at a basketball game. And then all of a sudden the camera cuts over to the woods and River's walking through the woods. And he ends up showing up at the wedding.
Yep. And that was
And this was the first one because they remember they got married twice. So this was the first one to make it official. Once he got in the United States, they did like a nice little wedding in the park.
yes. Yep. This is that one where just her family was there,
Yeah.
and everybody was kind of standing around. It was cute. It was good.
Yeah, it's a cute little wedding. Cute little wedding. But shortly right after that, the fireworks started, you
Hmm.
know? And it's just like this article here was saying that, Chantel and Pedro seem to not get along with each other's families. And I mean, that started right from Nicole and Lydia not liking Chantel, and then Chantel bringing him over here, not telling her family. I mean, right from the jump, they were doomed for failure. They didn't set it up right,
Yeah. And
you
then
know?
and the families didn't get along with each other at all. Like, not just they didn't get along with each other's families, but the families even went at it. Like when they went over there with the crazy.
A lot of people blame Chantel for a lot of it
Well, I
because
used to
of,
blame Chantel for, like, if she wants her parents to like him, why did she go and complain to her parents all the time about Pedro did this, Pedro did that? That used to drive me crazy. I'm like, why is she telling them this? Why not keep it to yourself, work it out with Pedro, and then, you know what I mean? If you're going to say, why are you guys treating him like this, and why don't you like
right,
his parents? It's gonna set that up if you go to your mom and brother and dad every time you have like a little. That's what Pedro said, but then turn around and want them to be all, kumbaya with him.
right. That's exactly what happened. I mean, she set him up for failure. I do feel bad for her, but she set him up for failure.
But the other thing is, everything up until this season seemed to be kind of working out up. Well, okay, so they were getting along really well. And then I remember he went to visit his parents. And when he started to go digging all that dad stuff, about his dad, that's when things really took a weird turn with his family and with Chantel eventually.
Yeah. Shout out to Renee down in the chat, Revelinsky.
Hey,
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share the stream. Tell some people to come on over so we can chit chat about this. And I am more than willing to send the link out if you guys want to come on and talk with us. But yeah, I think Chantel did had a lot to do. I feel bad that because I really truly feel like she loves Pedro, and I feel like she's still in love with him. She seems pretty upset on this current season when she's talking about the fact that he doesn't call her Pinky and all of that. And it's confusing because when the season first starts, they're getting along, they're laughing, they're joking, they're playing around in the yard and playing with the stuff. He's cutting the trees, he doesn't have any shoes on, and they're getting along. But then they do go to sit on the couch and she says, something's different about him.
Yeah, like I feel like something, that's what I was saying. If you rewind it back to that last, if you go to the last season and you see she was like trying to help him out with his stuff with the father. He wanted to find his father and he wanted to find out what really happened and meet his brothers. Remember, he went to Dominican Republic for, what was it? He went for like a month or a couple of weeks, and then found out all that stuff about his mother didn't, knew his father wasn't with it, all the stuff that, what I mean, he thought this was something that his dad did, and he found out his mom knew about it. And then he kind of went to odds with his family and called Chantel, and Chantel was like, oh, I'm going to come in like the savior, I'm going to come over there, and help you get through this, because he was so upset about his dad. And then when she even told her mom, she said, I am going to stay out of it. The mother was giving her the right advice. Yeah, stay out of it. But when she went over there, he was really thankful, even though he didn't really like the fact that she brought the whole family. But like, they seemed to be okay. And then, but when she said something about his mother, that's when it kind of went crazy.
Hey, something happened with my mic there. But yeah, I agree. But yeah, they had problems right from the jump. And you can kind of see here that Pedro he's already at odds with Chantel, and he didn't like what was going on. He said, you're always, having an issue. You're always talking behind my back to your family. Remember that time at Christmas, like in this scene here where they're talking in the car, and I think she gets a call from her mom saying, hey, we want you guys to come over for Christmas or a family vacation.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And he's like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to talk to your family. And right here, I remember he was telling her, well, look, I can get out of the car. You know what I mean? A lot of what was going on between their families was because Nicole and Lydia didn't like Chantel, and Chantel did not tell her family about Pedro, so that set him up to look like the bad guy. And from that point on, I honestly think that's where a lot of this resentment towards Chantel is coming from. Not saying it's right, but I really feel like that's where a lot of this resentment towards Chantel is coming from, because I think Pedro feels like she always sided with her family with that whole harvesting the American dollar thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that the whole thing, obviously with it being called Family Chantel, had a lot of how it had a lot to do with it. But yeah, right there, I know we were like, wow, he's not even going to go to, what I mean, to the dinner. And it was just really really awkward situation. I remember the mother called. I think that was the scene, right? When she
Yeah.
and
So shout out to Billy Massey down in the chat. He says, I have just completely lost interest in this series and have only seen one episode of this season of The Family Chantel. So he said it could be coming to an end. No doubt. It definitely is coming to an end. I mean, especially with their relationship coming to an end. Um,
right.
and
Unless
Renee, huh? Go ahead.
oh, I was just saying unless they're going to do spin-offs with both of them separately.
Yeah. Renee said, I don't know what to think about these two. And then she also came in with, it's just coincidental that they filed for divorce, while their new season is airing. Hope it's not just for views. Let's talk about that. She said, I like Chantel and Pedro. I do too, sweetie. And I I don't know, Jen. Do you think that because people file for divorce and don't get divorced all the time, just like Kempire said, so it could be possible? And I agree with Renee that the fact that they file for divorce, it could be because I remember Wow saying that she's probably the only person who watches this series. I watch it only because I've been watching them. You and I have both been watching them since season 4. So I've got a vested interest in what happens to this relationship because I've kind of seen it from the onset. So that's the only reason I have interest in it. But the seasons have gotten boring. Like last season, I mean, it was dramatic, it was good, but if I had seen Pedro burst into tears one more time, I was just going to shoot myself. I was like, he was all over the place last season, and I didn't like the fact that Chantel kept trying to reach out to him. And maybe she said the wrong thing, but that was no reason to take all of his frustration out on her. He basically accused, oh, you don't like my mother, and you blah, 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 blah. Yes, she's trying to defend you. Your mom and your sister basically called you a crybaby and stop looking for your father. Get over it. I used him. So what? That's what we do. But he took it out on Chantel.
Yeah, and he I think at that point had trust issues with everybody and is going through was going through some weird emotional stuff like you said, like it was just all about poor Pedro, he was thinking in his mind.
Yeah, definitely. What is this here? You know, and then we've got remember this evening?
Oh yeah, when the sister came to visit. I do
Mm-hmm.
remember this. Oh my goodness, it was probably one of the most watched I bet scenes ever.
I
Oh.
mean, this scene, Pedro, Nicole comes to visit, and basically she and Pedro tag team Chantel and just kind of picking on her a little bit. She didn't want to sleep on the couch, so basically she was ready to put them out of their own bed, and Pedro was basically ready to let her do it. He didn't care anything about Chantel's feelings in that, and wanted to just let Nicole have free reign. And Chantel went to her family once again, complaining about it. And I almost feel like it's too little, too late. The fact that this season she's decided not to tell her family anything. Unfortunately, though, Chantel, you told them for all the other seasons. Yeah. So it kind of already the damage had been done. You know what I mean? By this point,
And what was
and
that again? What was the thing with the sister and her? What was she mad about? I forget.
well, the sister apparently Nicole, when Chantel left for work that day or left to go over her parents' house, Nicole started clapping and saying, "Thank God, yes, get good riddance, get out,"
Oh
basically.
wow, that's right.
And Chantel overheard it.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to her mom and family about it, and they invited Pedro and Nicole over because they basically wanted to confront them about it and see if there was any truth to it.
Right. And
And,
that was just, that got out of hand. But
yeah,
that was destined to be a event from the beginning.
yeah,
That dinner was just like, they knew at some point they were going to get into that with her.
yeah. And Billy Massey said down in the chat, can you tell that this show is strictly scripted? And I heard the rumor that they just signed what for a new season. Is
Wow.
that true? I have not heard that, T, but thank you for dropping that piece of info because I will be researching it. I
You know,
will be researching and keeping you guys posted on that.
I would not put it past them. I would not doubt it, because we're starting to see that, and we were talking about this before, me and you, that every one of these shows before, they used to be the reality of the reality, was just like, nothing seemed too scripted, and now,
Right.
like, the reality part is the stuff they throw out there, like this kind of stuff, like they're getting divorced, and we're seeing their real life, but they're almost timing it like, someone in the chat just said that they're timing this stuff coming out to get ratings on the season.
They
You know,
are. They are. I really believe that this season was getting lackluster. Nobody was watching it. And the drama was just enough to get a few of us biting. But they said, you know what? Let's take it to a whole nother level. Let's have you guys publicly file for divorce and put it out there in the press and let them get a hold of the documents and let people know that no, this isn't scripted. This isn't drama. This is real. We've got issues and we are now getting divorced. I really think, because think about it, everybody and their mom is going to now, because of this news, going to want to tune in and see what caused the divorce.
yeah, because I even heard a couple of people in different comments and things say, "Well, I'm going to go back and watch this. I'm going to go watch this season now." The previous,
It
season
worked, right?
definitely worked. I'm sure the ratings went way up. It definitely, you know, renews the interest in this, and it's got us like even going back over all of it. Like, I love what you have put together here to kind of give us the synopsis from the beginning of what happened with them.
Yeah, remember that? This is probably one of the most famous fights on television. And to see the way he and River are getting along so famously now, but at that point they were arch enemies. They
Yeah.
couldn't stand the sight of each other.
And River kind of, what I think changed about that is, look how young, like, look at River here compared to River, right? River
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
protect.
River's a monster, dude. He's huge.
He
He
was,
looks like a bigger version of Thomas.
and
Pedro kicking the food over for
right,
one last ditch effort to upset the family. He like kicks the food over. Thomas was more upset about him kicking over the food than he was about the fight.
hey, remember the other thing when there was like the back and forth we had about, okay, did, because River hit the chandelier, was that who started it, or not we had, but like that was going back and forth, like who started the fight, and I was like, well, he hit the chandelier, so technically I guess that's what that was. It
That's
went
what
towards
triggered
Pedro,
Pedro.
and then
Pedro stood up because Karen was telling him, he was telling Chantel to move from in between him and Nicole. And Miss Karen said, no, she's going to sit right there. And Pedro said, hey, 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 hey. Remember that?
he
He
did
was
the
telling
River
her,
card.
basically, shut your mouth. I'm not talking to you. And River didn't like that. River stood up and said, who you talking to? And Pedro stood up to him and was like, I'm talking to you and your family. You guys are not going to disrespect me and my sister like that. And River smacked the light at Pedro, and it triggered him. He went around the table, and the rest is history.
I think too, like their respect for one another, like I was saying, I think sometimes you have to come off to your family how you expect them to treat your spouse. If you are bad mouthing them, and and complaining about them all the time, they're going to follow that lead, and that's exactly what kept happening with both of them, honestly, because
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't much better when talking to his family. So And then he's allowing the sister to clap instead of saying, "Hey," it was just bad news from the beginning. And I know, a lot of people have family problems, but this scene just this I didn't think that they were ever going to be around their family, Chantel's family again after this, right? I thought that was it. Either maybe
I
not,
really did. I
but then
did too.
Elle might be done with him because that's her family, and he went and tried to, beat up her brother, and it was just a mess.
Yep, absolutely. Um, but then he goes to the DR after that, okay? And he decides to get away for a while and goes to the DR because they can't get by the fight. I remember they showed up on the tell all, and he didn't want to speak to her parents. And it was a big thing of who's going to apologize, who started the fight, who's going to apologize, who owes who an apology. And Pedro decided, you know what, I'm just going to get the hell out of Dodge and go spend some time in the DR and get away for a while. Did not want Chantel to come with him, did not want her following him. And then the next thing, we got these pictures all over the place of him swinging Karema around, which is, he claimed it was a college friend or student or whatever. And it turned out to be one of Nicole's girlfriends that she had, like Nicole's best friend,
Who probably always had a crush on him, I
who
think. Is
probably always had a crush
You
on
know
him.
how that is with young
Yep.
girls with their older or friend's older brother or whatever.
I'll tell you what, here's some tea. I don't know whether there's any truth to this, Billy Massey, but I did see some pictures of Karema on Instagram where she was in the US.
Wow.
So I don't know if that has any bearing on the fact that Pedro is now
Wow.
filing for divorce.
Could you imagine if that was the whole time, like he was gonna marry Chantel, get his green card, and then bring her here and help her get a green card or something? Marry her.
At one point, there was a rumor that Nicole was actually his wife and not his sister. Who knows? It could be Karema.
Wow, that's insane. That's a whole nother thing going on there, like a whole nother group of conspiracies, right?
If that happens, you heard it here first on J&J Video Reacts.
Yeah.
If Pedro and Karema end up together, you heard it here first, because I'm not thrown off by the coworker. That they're trying to plant seeds on another trail. They're trying to lead us down another path. I
Because that
think,
was my point. I thought it was the coworker,
yeah,
honestly.
it's too obvious. It's too obvious. What do you guys think about that in the chat? That is way too obvious, because the coworker honestly doesn't even really look attracted to him. She just looks like somebody who thinks he's cool and she works with him. And I don't see a chemistry with her. But Karema, there's something there, and she never goes away. And she's always bringing up Pedro. The other week when Nicole was doing the Miss Dominican Republic thing and Karema was there talking about, is your brother Pedro coming? Is
Mm-hmm.
Pedro supporting you? Why is Pedro's name still in your mouth?
Because yeah, I think she's waiting in the wings.
I believe that. And the fact that she was here in the US, had they ever mentioned on this show that Karema had family or friends in the US?
No, and maybe she came because she's got a friend now and he's single.
Who's she coming to see? And he can certainly afford to bring her ass over here now and travel to go see her and put her up somewhere if he's making real estate money. Because apparently he is killing it with this real estate career. He's making some decent dough.
Of course, like the biggest thing about real estate, well, most people that I know in real estate or agents that I've seen, I mean, they put their pictures on the car, on the side of the car, and it's about getting your name out there and getting the most, contracts. And I think that helped him a lot. I mean, he's Pedro. When you want to buy a house from Pedro, you know what I mean? It's
Right. He's got
like
an
you have to Google
Instagram
search.
page. He's got two Instagrams. He's got his regular one, and then he's also got Pedro Realtor, which has got him with all of the different people that he has sold a house. They must take a picture right after they sign the closing papers because everybody's posing with the big key. And,
Mm.
so he is doing very well. And, 6, 7 figures can come pretty easy when you're doing that. So, yeah, he could afford, now that he is en route to permanent citizenship, to bring Karema over here and marry her and take care of
Ooh,
her if that's what the case is.
this has taken a whole nother turn. This live stream. This is definitely that could. Oh man, if that comes true, I'm telling you, that is then they will really say he came over here and used Chantel. The family will definitely think that, and Chantel too.
Billy Massey says down in the chat, if he does hook up with her, they'll have the highest ratings on TLC. No doubt.
Yes, Billy.
Shout out
Agree.
to Ariane. Welcome to the chat. And she is saying Chantel was with him all the time and no baby out of it. I know.
That's exactly what is with that. That's wild. Like that is just that blows my mind. Like I thought this was the season, if not last, where the baby would have came up.
They've been together 5 years. A young, hot couple like that, the way that they screwed around like rabbits and
It's not
didn't
like
have a baby.
responsible either. Chantel is. I could almost see her like, yeah, oh, I forgot to take my birth control or whatever.
Yeah, she didn't set him up. She didn't set him up. And we got 5 likes, and it looks like how many people we got watching here? We got 8 people watching and 5 likes. That's not bad. Let's see if we can't get 8 likes out of the 8 people that are watching.
That
Um,
is
that's crazy, dude. That is absolutely crazy. If Karema is Patrick's other woman, I think they might be using the coworker to throw people off the trail. Because think about
I
it,
think he caught it.
Chantel went and took $250,000 out of their account out of spite. What was she? What was the spite about?
And I said that the 250,000. I think I heard this too. Someone else said it. That money might not be from. That's a joint account, meaning like that's their money from the show that they're getting paid for all
Well,
these
they
deals.
actually have a business called Pedro and Chantel LLC. They are a brand. They have coupled them as a couple is a brand. So it helps them, I guess, to get ratings. It helps them to sell stuff. Pedro and Chantel LLC is actually a business that they started.
Some people that have money helps them grow closer together. I think what happened with Pedro and Chantel, that couple that we're seeing on episode 1, if it all wasn't staged, is the some of the pictures you've shown. That's when they were this young couple. They might have had some money from the show, but when they started blowing up and
Yeah,
getting,
they ain't getting paid like that. 257K.
they're a
Yeah.
brand and a business, and they're getting endorsements and probably getting like, the whole family's now involved in it.
Yeah,
So
Chantel does a lot of endorsements on her IG.
it's just like that kind of ruined them in a sense. Now all of a sudden things that they were kind of together on, now it's all of a sudden it became a business is what it sounds like happened.
Yeah. Well, here's another conspiracy. Was Chantel even in on it?
Hmm. Oh,
Okay.
taking it
Was
to
Chantel even, hey, you want to come over to the States? We can do this 90-Day Fiance thing. We can build our brand because we're going to be famous. We're going to be on TV. You go ahead and cut, I'll take 250K out of it. I'll bring your ass over to the States. You want to make this thing happen?
and then
And we'll put 5 years in and,
mother-in-law.
and call it quits.
Wow.
I mean, it explains why they don't have any kids. They wouldn't want to bring kids in there if they didn't plan on staying together.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
just saying.
What do you think about what if we found, well, they're not, I guess for a while, like they haven't been together, but I was like, wouldn't this be the craziest time if it turns up she's pregnant now?
That would be crazy. Well, it would be really crazy if it was somebody else's baby. But if anything, I would imagine Pedro would end up having a kid with somebody else out of this whole deal. What if Karema's pregnant?
Remember,
I'm
she
stuck on that Karema thing, dude. I have got a feeling that something's going on between them. And Pedro has been and what has Chantel maintained? Something changed when he left the DR.
right.
Could he have hooked back up with Karema in the DR when he was down and out and pissed off at Chantel for saying what she said, crying, and Karema was there to console him?
Yes. Oh, you know what? I bet you're right. I think you are on to something there because it was like I kept thinking it was that he didn't trust women anymore because of his mother and this and that. It might very
His
well
mother and him are
be
getting along now. They're talking.
maybe because he's hooked back up with Karima or Karima.
And not to mention the
He
fact
doesn't
that,
need the American girl anymore.
yeah, well, and here's the thing, too. Remember when Nicole came in and, tripped everybody out?
Yes.
Hey, bitches, what's going on? Hey, by the way, Pedro slept with Karema. Bye bye.
Yep. Oh, right.
Remember that? Who would know?
Yeah.
Nicole.
And she was upset with him and thought that he was liking Chantel's family more. So we're all thinking, maybe she made that up. But I don't doubt that he did. Pedro is a very emotional guy. I mean, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt when he kept continuing to stay with Chantel and they seemed to be,
Well,
being.
Chantel took his virginity. So you're talking about a guy who doesn't have a whole lot of sexual promiscuity in his past. So if Chantel took his virginity, and they say love fades after a while, and he hit it, he got it for a few years. Okay, I'm not interested anymore. Good. We've had a few years. I don't like all the drama between us. I've already had the poo poo. I've had all I can get out of it. Karema's something fresh and new,
When
and she
was
supports him.
that?
Huh?
When was that the first time when he was doing that dancing around with her? That was
That was what season? It was the last season that they were on 90 Day Fiance before the Family Chantel show series started.
okay. Yeah. Okay. I got you. But so that makes sense. He may have just hooked up with her even then. Do you think he hooked up
Yeah.
with her then,
Remember,
or
remember here, they're sitting here talking about the fact that, yeah, we got to hook back up and become a team, and I'll come back to the States. And
Mhm.
this was the conversation they were having right after Nicole is always throwing Karema in Chantel's face because she can't stand Chantel. Remember, Nicole showed Chantel the picture or the video of Pedro dancing with Karema?
Yes.
And this was the conversation that was had afterwards. He was like, okay, this was the last season that they were on 90 Day Fiance before the Family Chantel series started, and they were having a conversation that they decided to stay together and that they were going to work it out. And she's like, okay, you got to promise me you're not going to be seeing Karema anymore. And he says, okay, I promise, and we'll try to work this thing out.
Yep. I remember now. And Karima, or how do you say her name? Am I doing it?
Karema.
Karima. She and I know we'll get to this later on, but I almost thought she might be trying to like talk to Nicole's current man because it was
Right.
weird. She met up with him and she's definitely not opposed to dating a married man or a guy in a relationship. We could tell with her and Pedro. I'm like, you better watch your own man, Nicole.
Yes. Shout out to Macrina Daniels.
Hey,
What's
Macrina.
up, Macrina Daniel? How you doing, girl? Still got that wrench. So that means you're still a moderator, my friend. Welcome back to the J Crew, honey. We're building, girl. We're building. We're still here, and we're doing some different content now. But yeah, welcome back to the fam. Appreciate you being here. Billy Massey said, I think Pedro, wait a minute, oh, lost my place. I think Pedro lost interest after 3.5 years. That's about right. I think that's about right. What do
Mm-hmm.
you think, Jen?
All the excitement was over, with them, us against the world. They were starting to, things. She was in school, and you know what I mean. Like it definitely. And then it seemed just like all of a sudden for him to just get an attitude and want to go back and want to go all the way home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After he had been there a while, I'm sure he had some, friends and things. He was even, I just think that was an odd time, and if that's exactly when it happened, he's right. That definitely could be the.
Ariane said, I don't think Pedro looks attracted to his wife anymore. I agree. You said that too, Jen. Like he looks like he's just completely disconnected from her at this point.
Yes, and like I mean done. Like not I don't even think some people can look like they're mad at each other, but they still have that connection that you can tell. It's like once they talk to him, or him, it just seemed like he was so happy when she was gone. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I
He loved it.
like not like
He's like, I'm happy to be by myself.
yeah, that's what I mean, because it looked like he's just cut off, and that's what it looked like to me.
This is what pisses me off here. If you're going to go through this, because this is after the conversation, this is, I think, the first season of the Family Chantel. Pedro decides to come back to the United States, let bygones be bygones, and the whole family and him decide to go to family therapy counseling. So they decide to go to counseling sessions so that they can all work this stuff out, and he and Chantel can begin to get along, and he can get along with the family. And I thought it worked. I thought it worked. For a while it did, because
Hmm.
he and River and Thomas went on a guy's trip together where they're on a dude ranch, and they're all getting along like brothers.
Well, I think Thomas is, and I really do believe this, even if it's staged. I think Thomas is a good guy. Like he seems like he's got
Yeah,
a pretty big heart, and I think when he realized, whether real or not, in that scene when they were in the therapy, that he thought of him like a father, and that he didn't have a father, and we know he's got
right.
other issues. I think he kind of took a different turn to it. Like, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and kind of help mentor this kid. Like he's here, he's in another country. I'm gonna kind of take him under my wing a little bit and see what I can do, because I've not thought about him like that before. Like as a son, because he was so Karen's in his head about she's not good for our daughter, and they didn't like the relationship from the beginning. All of a sudden in that scene, I think he saw Pedro as a young man, and not as this person who's doing his daughter wrong.
Yeah. He took him on as a son, you know. And I'll tell you now, who probably didn't like that was Lydia and Nicole.
No,
Okay, Lydia and Nicole did not like the fact that Pedro was getting along with his new family. They hated that.
absolutely. That was the whole thing. They did not want him to. They wanted to be him to be against the family. In other words, they thought they did him wrong, and and him getting along is the worst thing. They were jealous.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wait, you're still going to, take care of us, basically, and you're still gonna like be our family. You're not gonna be just over there with them. I don't know. It was kind of like I forget what scene I got that impression from, but it started that season.
Yeah. But they just basically decided to all get along and be one big happy family. And that's when I think maybe it started getting a little boring to people, because there was no more drama. I mean, think about it. That's when they were the most popular, you know. And you guys let me know in the chat what you think about that. I think that the show got more well, we know reality gets more ratings when there's drama involved. And when Pedro started getting along with the family, he and River are going Christmas tree shopping and shit. I mean, you know what I mean?
Is that when they inserted like the brother and the and Winter a little bit more?
I think that what happened here was their attempt to bring in Royal and Anjanette to
Yeah.
switch things up and say, hey, guess what? On top of everything else, there's a whole nother brother that you guys don't even know about. And he's also got a fiance. Remember Anjanette from the
Just freaked
Philippines?
me out when I saw that episode. Like, who is this guy? How could we have felt like we knew this family so well and didn't know there was another brother? Unless I don't remember if you told me they mentioned him before, but I don't remember.
Nah, they never mentioned him. And you can tell by the way that he handled himself on the show, he didn't want to be mentioned.
No, and you could tell that that's why he's not really on there anymore. I don't think because he
No,
was
he wouldn't even
feeling.
let Karen talk to him. I think it was season 2. He
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even let Karen. Season 1 was when they did the wedding.
Yeah, he is
No, no,
just
no, no. Was it maybe it was season 2? I don't know. But either way, I think season 1 was the therapy. Season 2 was when everybody was getting along and Royal showed up.
right.
Yeah, that was season 2 of the Family Chantel. Royal showed up with Anjanette, and he admitted because Pedro had him cornered in the kitchen here, asking him all kinds of questions like, how did you meet her? Where did she come from? I had that stand in the back. You see that stand behind him?
Oh, you know,
I had that in one of my apartments. I
I know,
had
but
that.
did
That was
we
my
all have?
microwave stand. Oh my God.
I remember one of those stands too. I was like, "Wait, you had it?" Wait a minute, I think I
I
had.
had that before. It was
It must
white.
have been popular, right? Where was the home that we all had one of those stands? Um. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. I thought that was another funny thing. Talking about this scene,
Hmm.
Pedro, you have the nerve after you just had to put up with Chantel's family saying you were coming over here for a green card and didn't really love her,
That's
and
why he
yet
enjoyed
you
doing it.
are
He
cornering
wanted to put somebody
him.
else on the
That's
hot seat.
sadistic.
He's
What?
like, get it off of me. Let's put it on
It
Anjanette.
was like he was so in the family at that point. I'm like, oh no, they've transformed Pedro. Like he's now one of their clones.
Questioning, oh, how'd you meet her? And he said, yeah, she hit me up on. Oh, she hit you up.
The same way
And
Chantel.
Royal was like, yeah.
That was hilarious. I remember we were like, oh, look at Pedro doing
I
this.
think he enjoyed not being the common denominator or the
Yeah, on the
common enemy of everybody, coming in and everybody's picking on Pedro. I think he wanted to turn the tables now that he's getting along with everybody. Oh, okay, but it's okay for Royal to bring somebody in. No, you guys are gonna give her shit just like you gave me shit.
and just
And
like
lo and behold, Chantel started raising questions.
and Chantel took it and ran with it. You know what I
She
mean?
took it and ran with it.
Her and Thomas, Karen and Thomas ran and got the private detective and all that with
Oh,
him.
she found you on Facebook, did she? Harvesting the American dollar. They went right for the
They
jugular.
went right at it, didn't they? But you know, I think Pedro at that point too felt like because he didn't have that traditional family, obviously things were weird in his childhood, probably like 94.5% of us, but everybody was like, you know, wanting that like mother, father, and you know, like the Cosby Show type thing that we always talk about where people wanted that like sitcom family. He had that with them, so he was like gelled right in like, okay, now we got a new person trying to come in this family. I'm gonna interrogate them.
Right. Billy Massey said when they added the other brother, that's when he went south. Billy, I mean, I don't want to. I see the IE, or the Y, so I know that you can call women Billy too. So let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know. But Billy Massey said that I don't. I went south when they brought the other brother in. I think the other brother went south when they brought the other brother in. He obviously did not enjoy being on that show, and he hightailed it out of there in the next season. He wouldn't even let Miss Karen come talk to them. He did not want to be on camera. Remember, they went to the Philippines and they just kind of were touring the city. Oh my God! Speaking of which, I think Pedro's got one of those eggs in his hand, Jim, with the duck in it. Remember,
Oh,
we saw that in Survivor. They were. I can't
oh.
remember what you call that. I could not. We're all. My wife and I are vegans, so to sit there and eat a egg, seeing the duck form. The feathers and the beak, and you're eating it. Oh my god! I mean, it's bad enough knowing that the yolk
It's
is
like
basically an
literally
embryo of
a
a
baby
chicken,
in an
but to
egg.
have it growing,
It's a delicacy, apparently, though. People like that.
they eat it on the street like hot pretzels.
We saw it in Survivor, was it? One of those
Yeah, Survivor, they were eating them.
probably was on Fear Factor too. Remember the show that used to come on? They
I
would eat
do.
weird stuff. Oh, that show was wild. I had to admit I was
They would eat
watching.
cockroaches and shit.
Oh, when they
But
would get
yeah,
ugh.
so they took everybody over to the Philippines, and I remember when Royal was about to beat up one of the cameramen.
Mhm. Royal has an attitude like River, but River hasn't developed. He hasn't lived long enough to get there, but you can tell he's a little more mild mannered. But I just feel like he's gonna. He just reminds me of the older brother,
Hmm.
and he maybe starting to even look like him.
He looks just like him. He looks like a baby Thomas. I saw somebody said that on Instagram. Both of the boys look just like Thomas.
But I can see him cutting off like that if, like, I mean, he's all about the family right now. But I could see if some he was had
He
even
already has.
love.
He just moved out.
There it
He
starts.
moved out, and he is, yeah, like River dipped.
How old is he?
I have no idea. I think he's in like 22, 23. He's in his early 20s. He's
Oh,
somewhere in that range. I know he's not 21. I think he's past 21. I think he's more like 22, 23 years old.
okay. Yeah,
So
that
it
makes
was about time. I think they mentioned it, but I think it was about
sense.
time
Later than most
for him to
people.
go ahead and move on. So here we've got Miss K and the family confronting Ann Jeanette's family. Like, okay, I understand that she met him online and she kind of came after him. Were you guys aware of that? And took it to him. That was not I was so pissed at that.
Yeah, that was terrible. Really, I think we were all like yelling at the TV screen at that point.
She promised to leave them alone because Royal was saying, "Mom, I know how you get. Just go there and meet the parents. That's all you're there for. If you guys are going to start shit, then I'm not going to want you guys to come to the wedding. I'm telling you now." And she promised. Her, Chantel, everybody promised that they weren't going to bring up thoughts of Anjanette trafficking or Anjanette going after him in a mischievous way, trying to harvest the American dollar.
And he did it in a slick way, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
and still had to get it out. It's
Went
like
there and did it anyway.
handle it. Like she was so close, but she could not handle not saying it. I think that's what happens with Karen
Mm-hmm.
character. She definitely and Chantel now we're learning is just like her mother. She did the same thing later on, even when she said, "I'm not going to get involved."
Yeah. And Miss Karen obviously switched up a little bit because in the later episodes, she was trying to tell Chantel when Pedro was going through all that crap in the DR, don't get involved. I know you're his wife. Just go there to support him. Don't give any opinions. Don't trash talk about the family. Just be there to support him. And what did Chantel do? She went there and had to say something about his mom. And
Yep.
that's exactly what she was told not to do. And she could not help it. She did it anyway and caused a rift between her and Pedro. And I think Pedro used that rift to go run to Karema because apparently that's when the shit hit the fan. Because she's saying when he came back from the DR, things were not the same. And that
Mhm.
was the last real interaction that they had was that issue between them and that hotel crap with Nicole.
It was already strange that he wanted to I guess he said he wanted to extend his, you know, he wanted to extend his vacation there or whatever. You know what I mean? It was just I don't know. It's very suspect. You've got me really thinking about that now. That's when things changed, and maybe it's her.
Yep.
And
That's
they just
when
use it coworker and using the job to kind of stay away from. And then think about it, sometimes when people have another motive, that they're like not feeling the relationship, either another person or another agenda, they will start using little stuff that doesn't make any sense, like he did with, oh, because she didn't clean for me like I did for her, or you know what I mean, stuff that Chantel never probably was big on. She just doesn't seem like the happy little homemaker, you know what I mean? I'm sure they ate out a lot. They've got plenty of money. Like, I don't know. It just seemed weird, the stuff that he was getting really mad at her about.
Right. Billy Massey said 20% male age, 60 from Alexandria, Virginia, sergeant of security. 100% man. Got you.
so we,
And
we
then and then under that he says, "How come the young lady that once survived this season haven't been interviewed by you two stars?" What? The young lady that once survived this season. You talking about Chantel? But yeah, so River and Royal and Anjanette are getting married there. You're gonna have to clarify that one for me. And then we've got the hotel scene where she's calling him Mijo and she's hugging him. And this is the one where Chantel basically apologizes for talking about his mom when it wasn't her place to do so. And then Nicole comes in.
looked like Karen was the marriage counselor there, right?
Yeah. And then that brings us back to pretty much Chantel now saying that ever since all of that happened, and since he's come back, because remember, he stayed in the DR for 2 weeks after Chantel left. And apparently he stayed there because he was looking for his dad. Now, we found out on Kempire that the storyline of him not knowing his brothers was bullshit, because they showed a picture from 2014 with Pedro and Nicole hanging out with the two brothers.
Wow.
So that was all manufactured. So stands to reason that he may very well even know who his dad is and may have hung out with him. Who knows? The dad apparently, I don't know if the dad was in the picture or not. There was quite a few people there. The dad could have possibly been in the picture and we just don't know who he was. But he stayed in the DR for 2 weeks. It said, I remember the screen of it. And then it said Pedro did not reach his father, or his father never answered him. He kept trying to call him. He stayed in the 2 weeks and then he went home. So what happened in that
Yeah,
2 weeks?
he was calling his dad for 2 weeks, or was he calling, hanging out with Karima, to your point? And is that what changed?
That's
Very.
what I want to know.
And that look, if this is a recent picture, look at his face. He just looks like he's disgusted. And the thing about him too is he always kind of like, he had like a little soft spot, even if Chantel was being Chantel, he would kind of laugh at it. You know
She
what I
was
mean?
she was still Pinky.
Yeah, like, oh, Pinky, duh, 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 you know what I mean? Like, he definitely, they always had that like bond. And I feel like that definitely, you can tell like she's used to having the control on everything. You can
Yeah.
tell by her not going and complaining to the family. She's like, this one is real because I don't even have him now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just trying to get somebody to complain with, it's like she could tell something changed, I think. If, or if they're acting, then you can definitely tell then they've gotten to be better actors, because they look like two people who are, and I feel like she's just one of those people. Once she realized he was done, she got mad. That's why she took that money.
I think honestly, if I'm being honest, I think she took the money because I think she may have possibly found out that he might be seeing Karima
Mm-hmm.
or the woman at work. I don't know. But I think that she maybe caught him cheating because remember one of the last fights that they had on the show was, well, why did you come home at 3 in the morning without your car? And how did your car get here after that? She's like, I still don't know how you came home 3 in the morning without your car, and I still don't know how your car got here.
I
So
just
that was,
can't believe that's the same couple. Like that was, you know what I mean?
I
He
mean,
was
but they've been
playing big
toxic
game.
all along.
Yes, but not to that magnitude where it was like as soon as he got a little taste of freedom of the, you know what I mean? It's like
And
he
money.
freedom and money, he went off and like I don't know. It just doesn't look good on Pedro, really. Whether, we like the way the whole thing went down or how she's treated him in the past, that's something off the wall that changed within him, it seems like. All
Yeah, yeah,
because she's trying to push him to have babies and he's getting the heck out of there and filing for divorce.
yeah. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy the fact that he's that upset because she's not cleaning the house or she's not making him breakfast or she's lazy. She's not lazy. The girl just went through school and became a registered nurse. Lazy people don't do
And
that.
is working three, what is it, like 3 12-hour days
Three
at a
12-hour
hospital.
shifts. That doesn't sound like somebody who's lazy to
Not
me.
like the whole hospital scene is really relaxed right now, anyway.
Exactly. How about, aren't you worried about her getting COVID? There was no concern for Chantel's well-being at all.
It just
And
seemed like all of a sudden it became all about Pedro at the end of last, season.
well, when she got her degree and she had become a registered nurse, he's like, "How much you making? 80K." Yeah. It's all about the money.
Mm.
And then when they went to buy their house, he found out about the real estate stuff and they said, yeah, we could use some Spanish representation because the Spanish market, we don't have a lot of real estate agents to cater to the Spanish speaking community. You need to come on board. We think you'd be good at it. And he did it. But now that he's got 5 years in, I believe 5 years in, you can apply for permanent citizenship. I really believe strongly after seeing that picture of Karima in Chicago or wherever it was that she was, that may be what's going on. I think the coworker thing is something that they want people to think, that Pedro wants people to think, to throw things off if this is real. Um, but
And
I
where
think
was
he's singing
that?
Karima.
Maybe he was with her. You said you saw a picture of her in that she's over here. She might have gotten on a 90-day type visa type thing.
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm like, what? Who is this? And it was on an Instagram page. I'm gonna have to go look that up. And it was a picture of her. I forget where she was. It was Chicago or someplace, but she was in the States, and we've never seen reference made to Karema coming to the United States. And remember, we're behind the eight ball on this. All of this divorce stuff and all that. This is July. All that shit happened back in May, April, and May. So we're
Right.
behind the eight ball, and who knows that they separated in April. That could have been when she was here.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it, if they were separated, Chantel wouldn't have been too hip on Pedro's whereabouts. What perfect time to go to maybe another state so that some cameras aren't following you and go visit Karema. It's like, yeah, why don't you? And if he's making that kind of money with the real estate, he can afford to fly her over here and go travel somewhere else. Remember, he's driving now. So yeah, he can drive somewhere and meet her, or I got a gut feeling that it's Karema. And if they end up together, it would not surprise me.
Definitely. I wouldn't either. I saw Wendy said they have been married for 4 years, and then she said I would make sure that he would not get a green card. That's what a man says when he's trying to make Chantel look bad.
You
Hmm.
know, unfortunately, Wendy, and welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, it's too late. He's got the green card. He is bordering on citizenship at this point, which is beyond the green card.
Billy, thank you for all your comments too to us. You were awesome. 20-hour shift. Oh my goodness. He's on a
Woo!
20-hour shift, he said. Take care and talk to y'all next week.
Definitely. We'll be here. Wow. That's crazy. That's some long hours. Shout out to Billy Massey. Don't work too hard. But those of you in the chat, let me know. And those of you that are going to be joining the replay game, you know, let me know in the chat what your thoughts are on Pedro and Karima possibly being the reason that Pedro wants to divorce, the real reason that Pedro wants to divorce Chantel. And I think he wants to hook up with Karima. I'm saying it. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting two and two together, man. Putting two and two
Yeah,
together.
said I'm Gina said it. I think that's how it's Jenna or Gina. I'm glad that she took the money out of their account because I if
Yes.
she hadn't done that, all of the money would have been with his mom and sister. Good.
Oh, you know it. You
Hmm.
know it. That's why he's so upset about it, and that's why the restraining orders were filed so that she couldn't take any more money. So yeah, that he's pissed about that. He's claiming that he needs it to live. Well, if you're a real estate agent and you're making that kind of money, if you're selling houses like that, you ain't hurting for no money. I mean, I know you got to wait on those commission checks, but I mean, we're talking stuff way in the he's been paid by now. He's got a steady stream of income coming. You can't tell me that she took all of the money. Okay, he's got some money somewhere, and if he's that sneaky, no doubt he's got money somewhere else in another account that Chantel probably doesn't even know about.
That is so true.
Come
That's
on,
so
Pedro.
true.
We were
Yeah,
not born yesterday, brother. You got more money. As sneaky as your ass is, you got more money somewhere. Even if it's hidden in cash in the house somewhere, you got more money.
he might have sent it home.
Right? He may have sent it to Karima. I'm
Yeah.
stuck on that. I'm stuck on that.
I can't wait if something develops. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be like, you were right on it. You were right. J and J Video Reacts. I love this channel, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me come on and run my mouth for a little while.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. The email is channel the panel. Okay. If you guys ever want to come on and voice your opinion, send me an email at channelthepanel@gmail.com, and I will send you a link to come on the live stream, and you can let us know what you're feeling about what we're talking about, whatever the topic of the day is. And today it happens to be the divorce of Pedro and Chantel.
No, they're
Anything else you,
divorced.
huh?
No, I won't let them get divorced. I won't let it happen.
I know, I mean, and it'd be wild if it was perfect all along, but quite honestly, I'm surprised it's just now happening.
Right? I'm like, you went through all of that, and now that you've got some success, and she's out of school and has her nursing degree, he's
And they
got
got a house.
real
Come
estate.
on,
He's
now
got
you break
all
up.
rooms. We're ready for kids, and you're
You
like,
made it 5 years. You couldn't stick that shit out. If you guys didn't lose it in the first couple years, him swinging
come
Karema
on.
around, and
They were
you made
better
it through
when
all
things
of
were
that,
like they were better when things weren't going right. Like maybe they
right?
need that. It's like, oh, some people can't handle the success of it. Like, oh wait, I don't really like you.
That's a
I'm,
good point. That's a good point. Success is just as scary as failure, and some
there
people
is.
are not ready to succeed.
It was always about respect, though. Like with Pedro and with her, in a way, that was a core thing. That sometimes that was kind of and honesty and things like that. You know what I mean? That kind of could have been where this baseline is coming from, because he was like, you're not taking care of me emotionally, basically, like you're not helping me, you're talking about my mom, or you know what I mean, it seemed like, and then she would be like, but you don't care about me, and maybe that just like kind of kept on developing over time, that lack of respect for each other, and then now look what's happened, if it's even true.
Yeah.
Now he's
Yeah.
hooked up with Karima.
There's a lot more a lot more to that than meets the eye. I really, really think that. We're gonna take a really quick commercial break here, guys.
All
Hey, did you know that you could single-handedly help this channel grow by clicking the like button down here on the left? And if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe here on the right. Share the video with friends and family, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get notified when we do new videos or live streams. Thanks!
awesome.
Yes, as we mentioned, we are on the road to 1K, and we appreciate all of you guys that have subscribed and are sharing the channel, sharing the content. We appreciate you so much. I am currently in the middle of editing some stuff. I haven't put up an edited video in 3 weeks. The last one we did was the one on Emily and Kobe. And I'm working on one now where we're going to talk about, I think I'm just going to do one with a recapping of all the couples. Um, I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. I'm just going to do a recapping of all the couples. And I want to do one for Married at First Sight because that has started. I've got to catch up watching that. Jen, what do we leave off with the matchmaking ceremony? I don't think we've seen the weddings yet.
Only the one, right? The one wedding,
Well,
was it?
I saw that. I got a sneak peek at that because that's on YouTube.
Had that insider stuff going on. I thought maybe I went like, I didn't watch it to the end.
Nah, no, inside just YouTube. But
Well, I
yeah,
look,
YouTube had the wedding of the really tall guy. I can't remember his
yeah.
name though.
His name is it Justin?
I think it is. I think it is. But I think that couple's going to work out. I think they looked really. But you know what? You can't just because they look attracted to each other. It doesn't mean anything. It could go south real
We have
quick.
seen that happen so many times, right? Just
Yeah,
in case it doesn't work out. But I am going to jump off of here because I have to go to work. But thank you again for letting me come on. I love this channel. Everybody like and share the video. She works so hard to make this happen. So I'm happy to be here. And
I
I'll be
appreciate you.
for your videos.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Billy Massey, Ariane. Let's see who else was there. Macrina Daniel came back in the house. Wendy Jones. Only joint things separated. Right. That would be true. What else did Wendy Jones say? She said they started on Wednesday. The only one. Okay. Yep. Only the one couple got married. Good. I thought maybe I might have missed a couple of the weddings, but yeah. So I'm working on that now. I'm going to go ahead when I get off of here and finish watching the matchmaking special. And it apparently they've got episode 1 and 2. So I guess it's when they're all preparing and then the wedding. So I'm going to go ahead and watch that and edit a video about that and get one out about the 90-day couples. I owe my subscribers some content and it is on the way. That's why I jumped on here and did a live stream today because the breaking news about Pedro and Chantel, we had to touch on that. We had to touch on that. And I will go ahead. I wasn't really prepared to have anybody come on today, but I'll go ahead and the next stream that I do, I'll make sure I put out early in the day like we did this one. And if you want to come on the stream and voice your opinion, you are more than welcome to come on. It'll be channelthepanel at gmail.com is how you email me and come on. Again, shout out to Wahima, shout out to Flight Sports TV, shout out to Hoop Jargon, shout out to Nikki Star TV. I love Nikki Star TV. Shout out to Kempire, Daily Soap Dish, Your Wet Socks, Sauceaholic, all those guys. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat today. Shout out to all my subscribers. I love you guys. And we are going to leave it at that. All right. Peace and blessings, guys.